There are a number of behaviors that I've seen while reviewing thousands of applicants and interviewing hundreds of candidates that oftentimes the people who get the job do these small things well. Let's talk about confidence. Confidence is one of the most important things in the interview process. To be clear, confidence is not arrogance. The goal is not to show up and act like you've got it all figured out. But I do think there is a poise and the ability to just acknowledge that there are things that you know, there are things that you don't, and you want to represent a full picture of yourself well. And so confidence goes a long way in the interview process. Now, if you are listening to this and you've gone through a code school or a boot camp, some type of non-traditional education to enter technology, there's a number of things that you're probably pretty discouraged, or even you might be beating yourself up about. My goal is to actually call out a number of the things that you could see as discouraging or as disadvantages and highlight how many employers, if it's the right employer, could actually view those as strengths. Now, the employer needs to believe this on some level, but it begins with you believing it about yourself. So I'm gonna share a list of important advantages that I think non-traditional coding students and professionals have over those who have gone the traditional path, which usually what that means is the traditional path would be a computer science degree, non-traditional, some sort of coding or some boot camp. We're gonna cover some unseen advantages. The first of the unseen advantages is a diverse background. I talked to many people transitioning into technology who were waiters. Maybe they were a teacher. They could have worked at the Genius Bar at the Apple Store, or perhaps been a graphic designer. Those diverse backgrounds, when coming into technology, can provide a lot of valuable work experience and lived experience that can positively impact somebody's tech career. The next unseen advantage that comes up a lot is actionable skills. Usually, if you were to go to college and take 4 to 5 years to learn about technology, you're gonna get a lot of historical background. You're going to maybe learn about the origins of computer and get the names and the history of all the people who've contributed over the arc of technology. But the reality is, those are not necessarily actionable skills. I remember early in my career, a mentor who went through the traditional path. He leaned over to me and he said, look, it's gonna feel discouraging and like you're missing out on something. But the fact of the matter is, most of the things that I've learned today, and this is him speaking, most of the things that he was using in his job daily came from on the job and picking them up along the way or investing on the side in his free time to gain those skills. And a code school, a boot camp is going to usually prioritize actionable skills over just that historical or theoretical knowledge. And so if you're transitioning into tech from a non-traditional background like a boot camp, then chances are you have a high degree of actionable skills that you can put to work. And for employers, they often want to know how quickly is this candidate going to be able to onboard and get up to speed. Right? If you're in a service-based business, the language they may use is getting them into billable projects, just in general, committing production level code, and people who've been trained with actionable skills can usually overcome that learning curve a lot faster. The next unseen advantage is the ability to learn quickly. A career in technology is like drinking from a fire hose. I've got this visual here that comes to mind when I think of trying to consume all of the content, the information, the learning, the tutorials, the YouTube videos, everything. It's just overwhelming. It's a lot. The fact of the matter is you're not going to be able to catch it all. I think one of the most beautiful skills somebody can learn, one of the most helpful skills somebody can learn is a piece of trying to capture as much as you can and then being okay with what spills out, right? You're not gonna catch it all. And so as a stream of information, a stream of content is coming at you, how well can you identify the key parts of information or the key things to learn and then be okay with not getting it all? I don't know of a code school owner, an instructor, a community manager that isn't obsessing about relevant, dynamic content. Usually from cohort to cohort, course to course, they are scrutinizing and refining that content to make sure it is relevant and the most up-to-date set of skills that they could be providing to students. That's really valuable because when we look at a traditional institutional education, depending on the institution, it could take an overwhelming effort to try and update that curriculum to something more modern. And the advantage of a non-traditional education institution is that that curriculum is much more dynamic, it's fluid and changing based on a rapidly changing market. The last unseen advantage is being pre-vetted. A group of people who've already been selected for a certain set of skills. And I want to back it out a little bit into a research study that was done, and they've popped up off and on over the years, but it comes back to employee contentment. What studies show over and over again is most employees in most jobs across the country aren't happy with their jobs. It was something, I read this study years ago that said something like 85% of people don't like their jobs. Well, what does that mean? Usually when somebody doesn't like their job, they just kind of talk about it. They may complain. But somebody who's gone through a code school or a boot camp is somebody who has done what most people won't do, which is take action. There is an action-orientedness with which code school students bring into their learning. I love to hire code school and boot camp graduates because they have been pre-selected of a group of people who aren't just discontent with what they were doing before, but are willing to take action to see something change. And that's really special, and I love it. So these are the unseen advantages that I believe you could be carrying with you as things that are detracting from your confidence. But my hope is that as you start to internalize a lot of these things and take responsibility for what these say about you as a candidate, that it could give you a little bit more confidence as you get into the interview process.